You're on.
Okay. I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 5:30, the Facilities Committee meeting. I'm gonna call it to order. Before we call this meeting to order, I wanna make an amendment to the agenda, and I will make it 4.9, and that'll be the discussion of the concession standing, how we do it, or how it's set up. So with that being said, I guess I'll make a motion.
I second the motion to amend the agenda for 4.9 for concession stand.
All right. Anything, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is the approval of the minutes. Everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? And anybody see anything that needed to be updated on the minutes? With that being said, I'll make a motion for us to approval of the minutes.
I second the motion.
All right. Any discussion? None said. And now we're gonna move on to 4.0 discussion items. Mr. Weekly, 4.1.
All right, first thing on the docket is Baptiste structural bid. It's up on by your chair here. We actually discussed this back in the fall of 2018. We put this out to bid. We had Smith & Boucher come in, our engineering company that worked with Hollis & Miller, examined the building and found some structural repairs that would need to be fixed. In that process, we put out a bid. We got some bids. We got a couple of bids. I presented those to the Finance Committee on December 4th of 2018. And at that time, the district was entering into the Shaping Our Future campaign, and the Finance Committee asked that we hold off on that process of spending that kind of money until this fall. So this fall we put the bid back out there. We actually put it out twice. The first time we put the bid out, we did not get any vendors to bid on the project. We put it back out, and we were able to get at least one vendor to bid on the project. That same vendor that bid on the project is also the vendor that also did the Ruskin repairs, and so they're very familiar with this process and also very familiar with our. Very familiar with the project that needs to be done here, because it's a very similar type project that we did do over at Ruskin with the same type of repairs. We have worked out, we have split what the idea was, and this has been the idea since 2018, and we presented also to this facility committee that we would split this work over a 2-year financial period. Due to the cost of being $118,000, we thought we would do one floor, probably the bottom floor of Compass first, with an estimated cost of $82,600, and perform the second floor of work in June, and then actually pay that in next year's balance. So obviously that the $118,000 is firm, but the $82,600 and $35,400, it could go a couple thousand either way, depending on how bad those situations are, but not exceeding the $118,000. That's the Baptiste structural repair. In conversations with them today, we would do some of this work over Christmas break. We want to do this work when the kids aren't present, and then any remaining work we could do either weekends or over spring break, or any other extended breaks we have, like over some of the like presidential holidays and things like that. So they're willing to work around that, and that won't be an issue at all for them. And then of course summertime, the kids won't be in the building; they'll have free access to the second floor.
So we're gonna do the first phase around the holiday stuff.
Yeah, holidays and breaks that are happening throughout the rest of the school year.
And then that'll be it.
And now we'll pay that actually in this year's school budget, and then the work they do in June, which will actually be the top floor, we'll pay that out of 2021.
Okay. Now I thought we did one side of this already. One of these phases. We did
Not yet. No, not yet.
So you guys asked for a recommendation, so we can bring
So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to make this recommendation to the board on next Thursday, and this is something we've talked about obviously for a couple of years here now. So.
And that's that little cracking in the foundation that's in the front.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything from you, Dr. Carlisle, on this, or
No,
is
sir.
this a support it's coming from your recommendation?
I agree with the support. The corrections need to be made to make sure that Baptiste gets the support and the structural pieces that it needs. So I It's definitely time.
Okay. All right, well, I guess I'll have to make a motion for us to bring this back to the board.
Sure.
So I'm asking for a motion right now.
A motion that we bring the Baptiste structural repair for MTS contracting, for $118,000 to the board on Thursday night.
Okay.
For consent?
Consent.
Consent, or do you want,
It would be on the consent item.
I would think so,
It's
yeah,
on the consent item.
yeah, okay.
I second. Any discussion other than that? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to 4.2, Mr. Hickman.
All right, relocating the enrollment center. That should be the other one that's up there for you. So this has been a discussion we've had, we had it last month as well with Dr. Skinner. And we'd really like to utilize the district's current facilities in a better way to, for our families, new families and our stakeholders have better experiences within our district. And the current location for residents and enrollment center has some challenges to it with the alternative school and in the same location. So as we worked with ELT, we brainstormed, we thought the former administration building would be a pretty good location for that. Part of that, to include in that transition, we would also like to include ELL program, because oftentimes our new families have language challenges to enroll, and oftentimes ELL facilitators have to go over to that location anyway to help. We thought if they were in the same location, we could eliminate that. In addition to that, Dr. Cargill has sought out and accomplished with Link's help free legal aid to our families. And so this, and Dr. Cargill, the only thing I don't know, is this an everyday or is this 4 days a week, or I can't remember how often.
That would be there every day.
Every
It's
day?
one attorney.
Okay.
Yes.
And so Link is going to pay for this, and so we're going to have an opportunity for our families to access free legal aid at this same location at the former administration building. And we'd like to place them there as well. So now you've got new families coming in, you've got ELL translation there, and you've got free legal aid at the former administration building. So we tried to do a cost analysis of this. Utilities, the current utilities now of the former administration building are hooked in with the entire Hickman campus. So you really can't separate them out. Now, obviously, with just minimal amount of people there, the increase of utilities there is going to be fairly negligible. Pennies on the dollar compared to what we have now. Because roughly you're going to have, somewhere between 5 and 6 people there full time, and that would be if everybody was there at the same time. Obviously, there are certain points of the year we'll have families there, but they won't be for very long. So the utilities factor won't be significant. Insurance, I talked to our broker with Trust. He said it'd be a very slight increase. He goes, you won't feel it at all. The only thing we would increase is really the contents, not the actual structure itself. The structure itself is fully insured, and so are the contents to some degree. He said a slight bump in contents, you'll never notice it. Custodial coverage, we will have to obviously clean it on a daily basis and maintain it. For a custodial class 1 custodial, about 4 hours a day will cost us somewhere around $13,380 a year. That's about 20 hours a week, roughly. We may not need that much time, but I wanted to at least give the worst case scenario. I don't think we'll need 20 hours, but I wanted to put that in there. Security coverage. This was a concern of ours. We really wanted our folks to be secure. And, we have a luxury right now where Sergeant Dykstra is there with the enrollment center right now. That would not be the case in this scenario. We would like to leave him where he's at. We think he's valuable in that location. So we sought out, we sought out private security companies. We took Securitas, which we have a relationship with now, and we looked at Titan Security. They're the only two that actually returned our phone calls about this. Securitas is actually more expensive than using South Patrol off duty, so that wasn't an option. Titan Security was one that they provide a very similar service, and here their hourly rate, their weekly rate, and their yearly rate are listed there below. They have an unarmed and an armed officer. I would prefer to have an armed officer since that's what we're used to. And you can see the price there for per year is $42,744. Option 1, Tier 2 armed per year. They listed the overtime rates. I don't think we'll ever have an overtime situation there. But with our 4 days a week, 8 hours a day, that's the $42,744. So if you combine that with the custodial cost, you're right around $56,000 a year just a little over $56,000 a year to have that secure and to have custodial coverage for the placement of that program.
Looking at the figures, I know this is gonna be, where would this be coming from as far as budget wise, which?
This would come from, well, it wouldn't become from operations per se, but it would come from the general fund. So it would affect the general fund, so.
And have you had a chance to talk to the finance committee on this?
No, I haven't. I have not. This is the first,
That's the
if
first
you'd like, I can bring this next week to the finance committee.
Yeah, I think, with, saying that, I would like for you to bring that to them, and then, I'll let them go ahead and make the recommendation to bring it back to the board. I think it would be fair, so that therefore, I've already got a chance to see it. And,
Sure.
this is something, did you send this out already to everybody on the facilities committee?
Not this, no.
I just responded to your email that he will be presenting a plan when you send the email.
Yeah.
Okay, so but they'll have, ways to get to this, to see all this, the facilities committee.
Yeah, I can put this on ESB
Okay.
and I'll send it, and I'll put it on the agenda with Shelley for Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'll rather, let the, I'll pass this on over to the finance committee, so that therefore they can look at the prices as far as the, price concerns, because that's something that they need to look at on that
Sure.
side. As far as the building, I have no problem as far as, I'm grateful that we are using this building for, something other than just sitting there, and also having the language,
Yeah.
interpreters there,
Yeah.
ELL, that's real good, because now we don't have to worry about calling anybody to come in.
Right.
They'll be housed somewhere finally, so I don't have any problem with that, so with that being said.
So just so you know, we took our HVAC contractor over there, fired up the
Yeah,
building,
that's
and everything worked great.
Okay.
So, we had a plumber go over there and take a look, everything's fine. Electrician went through it. He said, we'll have to change some things here and there, but he said nothing dramatic. No, just general maintenance things.
Okay.
So, the building's fine.
Okay.
We'll have to do some cleanup and stuff
Right.
like that. It's been sitting for a while empty, so there'll be some cleanup, and we'll get our people over there, we'll clean it up, make it look nice, but anticipating, January, I put January 6th because that's when we come back to school. So we're anticipating a January 6th start with this, if everything goes the way we think it's gonna go.
What other thing, just long term, just looking at, I know we said January 6th timeline, if something was to happen major, what are we looking at? I mean, if something does happen, to
Like-
where it's this, you said January 6th, if everything, you wanna have this open.
Oh.
Pending
I'm just
board
trying to-
approval.
Right.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah,
the
pending board
only-
approval.
That's the only variance, pending board approval.
Yeah, I don't think facility-wise, I don't think there's any issues that'll get in our way here that I can see, because my biggest concern was the HVAC piece, and he went there, fired everything up, he did the heating and cooling both, he thought everything's working. He said, I wanna leave it on for a couple of days and then come back, so he's gonna come back on Monday, and we're gonna run it one more time, just to make sure, but he said it seemed to do just fine.
Okay,
So I think we're good there.
okay, well, that's good.
Mr. Weekly, as you prepare to take this to finance, work with Ms. Woolsey on adding the piece to there in terms of the impact to the fund balance, because this isn't anything that we budgeted for.
Right,
And
right.
so including that in there. And then we had a conversation around the washers and dryers.
Yeah.
And creating a space for parents to have access to
Yeah.
a site. And
So-
this can be added to that as well.
Yeah, we could, and here's the part that I love about this, Mr. Reagan, is that Dr. Skinner has been able to capture 6 more sets, I think it is, if I'm saying that right. And so what we would like to do is make that, there's a portion of that we could make into almost like a laundromat for our families, where they could have access back and forth. Instead of doing it at the buildings where there might be some security issues,
I think right there.
And
Right,
then they could
bring
just-
everything all the way.
all in one shot. They could do it, all their stuff right there during those business hours when we've got security already there, and I think it's a great
And
situation.
have our hours
Mhm.
already put down, and I think that would be beneficial to our parents as well
Yep.
as the community and teachers and everybody, so that.
And if I'm a new family, I'm finding out that I can have that right there too, along with
Right.
legal aid and
Mhm.
that support system right there. I just think it's a great situation for our families.
And then too, since we are thinking in that on that mainstream line, maybe trying to get, instead of having the students, go and fill out for the bus passes there, maybe just incorporate all that right there. Just since you got legal aid, they can just sign up for the bus passes too. I don't know the name of the program, where they
not
can
sure.
get the bus passes, and then you don't have to worry about anyone having, you can also offer that to the students, as they're coming in maybe, too.
Absolutely,
You
and
know,
so have
and
more than one place for them to
set,
sign
right,
up,
and then they can
and
get
leave
that.
it in residency, yeah.
And I look
Is that
forward.
that KCATA? Is that the-
KCAT,
okay.
Okay, there it is. So, yeah, I look forward, I have no problem with that. I'm glad to see that coming to life, and, yeah, moving in the right direction with the building too, and using our space.
Yep.
So, but with that said, as far as 4.2 on the relocating of the enrollment center, I would like to just pass that to the finance, so that therefore they can look at the figures and go from there after you incorporate all the new stuff. And also just send us a new thing, update on how much it would be impacted on the, fund balance.
We'll do, we'll
Yes,
do.
sir.
And I'll have that for finance on Tuesday for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
4.3, move right along.
Compass Fall update. So we met with, I think last month I talked about we were meeting with a contractor, and so we did. Met with the contractor, we walked the space, me and Miss Franklin walked the space with the principal. We looked through all the spaces. It's the same company that Miss Franklin had seen their product in the Blue Valley School District. They gave us a quote of about $37,000 for that application. We would like to, we have a capital committee that incorporates curriculum and instruction, technology, operations, and Ms. Wiltsey in finance. So we get together on a capital committee and make some decisions about how to use some capital money. We're gonna take this application to that capital committee and see if that's something the capital committee would pay for, or something I can pay for, or how we can maybe pool our money together to help pay for that product. So that capital committee will happen sometime in the next couple of weeks, probably prior to Thanksgiving. Ms. Wiltsey's been out a little bit, so we're gonna wait till she gets back, and then we'll have that committee meeting. I'll report back on this in December.
Okay,
For
so,
sure.
yeah, this is to get those, how much did it cost for us to get it up at Santa Fe? I guess that's my.
Those.
What was that? I know that was something that was made, and I know we're trying to go for something, but if we cannot get what we want, we might have to just
Yeah.
get something so that therefore, we can have that wall right there so we can
Right.
get the kids learning and whatever's needed.
So I took the gentlemen that were here, I took them over to Santa Fe actually, and showed them that application, because Dr. Murkinson is not real happy with that application. And their suggestion was to basically take it down, because it swings and it's somewhat not
Stable.
usable. Yeah, it's not very stable. So their suggestion was there's really no way to make it stable unless you put a track on the floor, and then you got a tripping hazard. So he said, really, you need to take that application down and apply something else. The other alternative, and it's something you and I have talked about, and I talked about with Ms. Franklin and Ms. Horde, was we could still put drywall walls up. We could still do that. It doesn't have to be this application. We want to exhaust our possibilities of doing this other piece that we think could be good for instruction and security. We're going to do that with the capital committee. If that doesn't work out, then we'll go back to the drywall situation where we have
Fill 'em in.
whiteboard paint, so the kids can still use it as something to write on. So you can build the wall, put whiteboard paint on, and treat it just like you treat that. So that we'll flush that out, and we'll have probably a decision hopefully by December facilities meeting.
And as much as we can, I know we want the fancies, the bells and whistles, but if we could be a little bit more
Sure. I
cost
understand.
effective.
We want to give them what we can.
Yes, sir.
So
All right. 4.4.
okay. Cost of cameras. So worked with Dr. Smith on this, and Dr. Smith informed me that we have 9 new cameras coming for Burke. They're to begin installation on the 15th, which is next Friday. Is that right? Yeah, next Friday. They have 2 cameras going outside that'll be new, and they have 7 inside that will be new. So that process, and she's working with Ms. Korn about location, and so they're talking about what cameras to leave, what cameras to add. I don't think I know they've worked out location. I just know there's 9 cameras at a cost of about $3,700.
That's not too bad.
No, that's not too bad.
Now, with Sergeant Dycher he's also on this, included in.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
He's always kind of in the loop about because he has access to all the cameras, and he's saying, hey, right here is where the point where I can't see much. We need to add a camera there, and he's been a part of that as well.
Okay, that sounds good. I mean, 3,700. That's a finance thing too. So
Well, actually, you know what, that's a cost that we can absorb, so
Okay.
between operations and IT, so I think we're good there.
But it's still gonna take a hit from somebody's budget though, at the end of the
Well, we have that within our budget, so I think we're okay.
Okay, all right. I guess-
Lincoln Auditorium, 4.5, oh no,
Oh, this
alternate location,
alternate-
we talked about
alternate,
that.
okay.
Ruskin Lincoln Auditorium, so the Cornell one, that's on your seat there. So, we have been patching this for a while. This is a location we've had, Cornell does a great job, and they've been great about trying to be cost cutting, and so we've done a lot of patching in this area. He called me, Andrew called me, who I work with, and he said, Dan, he goes, there's just no more patching to do. He said, it's just, the roof is at the point where it needs to be overlaid. So what they do on an overlay is basically they pull back all that little fine gravel, pull it all back. They take off the top layer, replace the foam, and then do a complete overlay on a section. Not the whole roof, just a section that we're talking about that affects that theater area. And he said, Dan, the integrity of that roof right now is just is not gonna withstand anything. He said, so you're gonna have to do some type of overlay. The problem is the cost is about $23,000. So what I'm gonna do, since the cost is so high, I'm gonna bring up, and I just got this a day or two ago. I'm gonna have 2 more companies come out, take a look, and give me an idea of what their ideas are before we proceed. I've went ahead and asked them to kind of dispatch it for me, they did it for nothing. But I'm gonna try to get 2 more companies to come out and give me another possibility and try to spend so much here. I trust Andrew, but with this amount of money, I want some other ideas. So we're still in process with this. We've got some more patching that we did, and we'll see how long that holds. I think it'll hold for a little while, but we're gonna have to do an overlay in this or something close to that.
Well, I would like to try to, if we could, get on this before it snows.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that'd be, and then too, I guess my question was, you stated that they went on and did something 2 weeks ago, or is that?
Oh yeah, they've
They
been
went
up
on
there.
it even though, I just guess, I think at that time, would have been probably better at that time to maybe just had left it there and came back to you before they even did some of the charges for that.
Well,
You said they didn't charge us this
they
time?
did this last time. They just said, yeah, we did a little patch, but he said, I don't know how long it's gonna
Yeah,
last.
cause it was leaking
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
It was leaking.
So we're gonna have, this last little snow we had, little ice snow thing we had, a little bit came through, and he was like, yeah, it's at the point where you're gonna have to do an overlay. So
Okay.
I provided some pictures there for you,
Yeah, I got them.
so just so you
saw.
have those.
Well, I
So-
kind of saw where it was leaking when I went in there because it leaked on my face. So I was standing right there by it, and it just started leaking all down. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I'll bring those back to you. I'll probably get those in the next couple of weeks, probably prior to our next meeting, and I'll send those to you, so
Okay.
you have an idea of what's going on.
okay.
And I'll try to act on it as soon as possible once we have those 3 bids. School signs.
Yeah.
So I talked to Mr. Allen, and I had kind of talked to him about what you had talked about signs that have no vaping, no alcohol, no drugs, that type of thing. And he does not want to have that type of sign. He wants to have a sign that says prices, must have your school ID if you're a student. So he's kind of giving me kind of a template of what he wants. I took a picture of the Raytown High sign and I'm going to send it to him, because I took a picture of it today, and I'm going to send it to him and say, is this what you want? He wants something very similar to that, but he did not want to include drugs, alcohol, vaping, or sirens. I think you had mentioned the horn thing. He did not want to include that, so I'm going to send him that picture, and he's going to give me what he wants, because I know prices sometimes change with some of that stuff too. So we're going to be kind of generic in that sign. As soon as he gives me a proof back, I'll send it to our sign company, and we'll move forward.
Well, looking at it, I did talk to him, and I did talk to Mr. Weiler too, and I had these pictures that they gave me.
Okay.
And so what I did is I went and I talked to a gentleman that was on Warnell, and he would do those something similar. I can't really. I'll pass it around.
Okay.
It's kind of like what you saw at Raytown,
Yeah.
but it was a white one.
Yeah,
And
I think
it's,
I saw that one.
And I spoke, and I got Mr. Some of them.
Okay.
But he said he would give them to us for $65.
Okay.
I don't know if you got somebody cheaper or not.
I don't know. I'd have to send it to him.
This is
if I
a
know.
18 by 24 sign, so it's
Okay.
going straight down like the one you seen at
Yeah.
Raytown.
Yeah.
So,
A very similar size. Yep.
So that's and that's where I saw him at, like I
Yeah,
previously
yeah, if
stated.
you'll give that information to him, we're glad to contact him.
Yeah, he's ready. He said he would
Okay,
get
sounds
him.
good.
Turnaround time is 2 days.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if you'll just give me that before we leave, I'll be glad to contact him. Any other school signs that you want to discuss?
Basically, it's just just trying to get. We also discussed, and I don't know if they're gonna get that. That'll probably be something as far as getting the community. If you notice, if you went to Raytown, you saw how they had a pass for senior citizens. That
Oh,
was
like
it's on, yeah, it says senior citizens 62 and up, and they reside in the Raytown district,
right,
and it stated, they can obtain free passes. That could build community involvement.
something we could suggest to Mr. Weiler. I
Yeah,
mean, that,
so those are some of the things, that's from Raytown, and I did take some more from another school district too, but, that's the one I had printed
Sure,
off already,
sure.
so I just wanted to look at it already.
Do we currently sell, passes for, not just for, senior citizens, but do we sell passes for our games?
I
like,
don't
as a
know, I
package?
don't know that answer, I don't think so. I just think we have single day admission.
Single, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think.
That's definitely something to consider.
And some
To be
districts
a
do, some
conversation.
districts don't, it's kind of a, I mean,
And some districts allow you to come as long as you have this badge from the school district, they'll allow you to come in.
that's
too.
actually a conference requirement.
Yeah.
So anybody within our conference, if you have a school badge, you're automatically let in for free.
But if it's a tournament.
Yeah,
it's totally
so
Yeah,
tournament,
definitely.
districts, or
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah,
you
you gotta
can't,
have
so.
So, yes, sir. All right.
Gym windows. So I didn't know what this was about, so, and
I
like,
guess in the gym windows, we was talking about how they were open, and at one time, we was gonna do something about the windows that's in the gym at Ruskin.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah,
but
so-
we never came back to that.
So
this
what
summer.
what I talked to Mr. Allen about was, we want the gym windows to be a part of the bond project. And I think what his anticipation was, he wanted to tint
Tint
them.
'em.
So I told him, I said, well, no matter what, when we do the bond for windows there, the tinting will be automatic. Anytime you do a gym, the windows should always be tinted. So that'll be a part of that process automatically when we go for the bond in 2020. With all new windows and the tint for both sides. So I said, don't worry about that. He said, well, I can get a guy to tint them right now. And I said, well, I hate for you to spend $3,000 on tinting those windows when we may be able to get that done in the next 6 to 8, 12 months here. And we're in daylight savings time right now, where you don't really even need the tint. So I said, I'd hate for you to spend that kind of money, kind of waste it if we're actually gonna pull those windows out, you know? So, that was kind of I said, it's up to you, but I said, I don't know if I would spend that money.
Okay.
Now, if for whatever reason it doesn't pass, which I'm sure it will, then, the $3,000 he can spend to tint those, and that would be no problem, so.
Okay.
Student parking we favor. I found out that the student parking is a $20 fee. They use the money two ways. One, they use the money to buy next year's passes, which is somewhat of a minimal fee. And the other part of it is they use for student incentives. I was talking to Ms. Romachek and Mr. Allen, and they said whatever's left over for paying for the next year's passes, they use for student incentives throughout the year. So all that money goes back towards the students, whatever's paid for parking. So part of the parking process too is to make sure they can validate insurance, proper driver's license, all those kinds of things. They've had some incidents before where a student actually hit someone's car, an adult's car, and because we didn't go through the parking pass process, the student never had to prove that they had insurance, and so the student didn't have insurance. So part of the process too is validating that if you're going to be driving a vehicle on our campus, we're going to know who your insurance is, that you have a valid driver's license, and so on and so forth.
There's
So
no points, yeah.
helps with that process.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Because it's a
accountability.
Missouri requirement.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
to operate a vehicle with insurance.
And I think when she was thinking, like I said, that was Miss Carter, she was looking at that, maybe, still keep the process of how you come into the school, you still have to sign up, but just to not allow them to just pay, I think she was more focused on that. She'll have to talk to you about that more the
Yeah,
only thing.
I just know they use it for students, the money part they use for the student incentives throughout the year, so.
Okay.
Dobbs Painting, what was your question there?
Well, I know they was doing some type of painting up there the other day.
We painted the letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, we painted the letters black, make sure they stood out well, and there had been some painting on them that didn't look very good, so we power washed them and then repainted them. So, that was completed this week.
Okay.
Basketball goal on October 25th, I sent you an update that stated that 2 more basketball goals have been put up, and that's completed the process there. So those 2 basketball goals are up and going.
Okay.
Card reader wise, those again, that's that November 15th piece. They should be coming in and should be ready to go hopefully next week or so. So they've been ordered. I know that. So again, that's Dr. Smith, and she's kind of keeping me updated. Once that's completed, I'll email you an update on that.
But November 15th is when they're supposed to be in, or
Yeah.
17th.
Yeah. And we've already talked about the classroom.
That's right, yeah, you did that up there.
The vacant facility inventory, we've actually been through that. We started this process already, and I was at Johnson today, helping the guys kind of split up the stuff and how we want to organize it. We made some headway today, actually, and so we'll continue to do that. See, we still have some requests from folks. Like I got 3 today actually for different kind of furniture and bookcases and things like that. So we'll still be swapping out newer, better stuff for older, more dated stuff. And as that stuff comes in, we'll continue to separate it out. So that's the process is ongoing right now. Started this week.
And then, and I want to just piggyback on that. It does look real good, since you have cleared out Ruskin out there. I mean, take those extra tables away. I mean, it just looks much better. And I saw the new doors on there. Everything looks good and
Thank you.
Looking real nice and neat. And just the kids, you can tell there's a difference because everybody you can tell there's more space in there too.
Sure.
And now with the painting coming next over the holidays, I know that will create a good feeling and atmosphere in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It looks good.
Touch up. Well.
In the concession stand.
Yeah, the concession stand.
So I asked Mr. Weiler and Mr. Allen and actually Mr. Clapmeyer, all 3. I said, so tell me how this happened. Well, in the past, and Miss Brown, I guess, has done it for a very long time. In the past, she got a stipend just like a sponsor or a coach or anything. She got a stipend for it. 2 years ago, to follow the Fair Labor Standards Act, she could no longer receive a stipend because it violated that standard. Well, so for the last 2 years, she's volunteered, so she hasn't paid anything, but still does the same amount of work, running the fall and winter concession stands. Now, if there's any extra help that is needed, Mr. Weiler assigns or asks teachers to do work extra, and so like the football game, obviously she needs more hands. So he asks other teachers or other staff members to help out in that situation. But Ms. Brown has done it for a very long time and actually does it for free, which is a huge benefit for us. So.
Well, I guess my thing was the protocol, because I didn't know as far as if Mr. Allen can get someone that he might want and still abides.
I asked him that
abides by
today.
that.
I said, is Ms. Brown doing a sufficient job? And she goes, we want her to continue to do it. So.
Okay. Well, I just, that's what's the main thing, is just the protocol on how do we get more people that might want to do it, and giving us time to rotate out and give more people. And then also with the concession stands, I hope that, I know we had the Pepsi contract, and I know that Pepsi has more than just all dark colored drinks and light colored drinks. How do we get more variety of pops? I know that Crush, I think, is a Pepsi, or either it's Pepsi, I think, because Fanta is Coca-Cola.
Might be right.
So,
I'm not sure. I can ask.
Yeah, because it would be nice to see more of those 2 selections. That's what, variety of stuff in there in our concession stands, and always never, having to worry about anything and running out of anything. So, that was just, who was the contact person when it came to the concession stand, because, I didn't know if you go up to the athletic director and Or do you have to go to Donna to say, hey, we want this, and this?
I would probably start with Donna and then going up the food chain, so, and then, but I'll find out.
Shelley would also have the contact information
Yeah.
for our Pepsi rep, and
Yeah.
we could start there. How do we get additional
Yeah.
options at sporting events for?
Yeah, Miss Wiltsey kinda handles that contract.
Yeah, I know she had.
And so I can talk to her and find out who the contact is and put him in touch with Mr. Weiler and go that direction.
Okay. All right, 5.0 would be future agenda items, well, 5.1, I'm sorry, future agenda items for the board, and the only thing I guess we would be bringing to the board is the, which one was that?
Enrollment center?
Yeah, the enrollment center one, after it's been looked at by the, finance committees.
Yep.
I'll let the finance committee go ahead and make the, motion to bring it back to
Okay.
the board, because they need to look over the prices, so.
Sure.
With that, and, also looking at the, also you might wanna bring them in on the, there was another cost, I think.
The structural repair.
Yeah, structural.
Yeah, I'd be glad to
piece.
present that to him as well.
Yeah, and present that also and let them do it, but as far as us, I'm good with that part.
Okay.
Moving along, right along, 6.0 future meeting dates, 6.1 November 12th, 2019, Finance Committee meeting at 5:30. November the 14th, regular session board meeting at 5:30. We always forget 6.3, closed session. I don't know if they need to know, but it's generally at 5 o'clock. We should have put that on there, but that's okay. So with that being said, I adjourn this meeting now at 6:07.
Okay.
If there's no more discussion, okay, meeting is adjourned for finance, and we're out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's the proposal too, Mr.
Okay.